Hi, this is Catherine, and this is Taking Tea with Catherine. I'm drinking peach melba herbal tea because it's National Peach Melba Day. No, that is not why I'm drinking it, although coincidentally, I think there was a National Peach Melba Day recently. I don't even know what peach melba is and don't care to find out. But this particular tea tastes like those peach candies. They're like jellyish rings with hard sugar, a little bit sour, but not too much. And it's all right. It's not my favorite, but it's all right. And it has echinacea in it, so you know, immunity can always use a little boost. I'm going to show you some of my tea books again. So I have done a few tea library tours recently, but I haven't done one in a little while. So I picked 3 books out of the library because I don't have this massive hoard of books. Some of the books I would really like to own that are tea books are over $30, and I'm just too cheap. Just can't seem to do it. So if I ever find them discounted, then maybe I will. But for now, I will show you the books I do have and I do enjoy. These are not tea history books, although they may have snippets of tea history in them. I haven't shown you my tea history books yet, but these are kind of quirky. There's 3 books that I'm going to show you. They're all a little different, and I like that. I'm going to go from not least favorite as in I hate it, but like the one I don't like as much as the next one. And then the last one I'm going to show you is one of my absolute favorites. If I had to get rid of my whole tea library except for a few, I'd probably hang on to this one. So the first one I'm going to show you, I don't remember where I got it from. I obviously bought it used. If I bought it at all, maybe someone gave it to me. I do not know. This is definitely the oldest one. It's 30 years old, and which I can't believe 1990 is 30 years ago. It's called The Book of Cups by Garth Clark. It's what it says it is. It has pictures of teacups and teacup related things, and basically a design book, slight history in there. All kinds of pictures. If you like pictures and kind of art design books, then this may be the one for you. A lot of cups that you probably couldn't drink out of, but that's not always the point to these sort of things. And it belonged to someone named Beth. How do I know this? Because there's an inscription to Beth, much love, Garth and possibly Mark, I don't know, Mary, Man, whatever. New York City, May 25th, 1990. I'm assuming it was an author signing because Garth is the name of the writer. But I will never know, and I will never know what happened to Beth. But Beth, if you're watching this, you know what happened to your book. So the next book is basically a tea devotional. I have books that are a day sort of things, poems a day, Shakespeare a day, which if I read them every day, I wouldn't have time to read anything else. But I like to have them around and occasionally look at them. This book isn't really by calendar day. It just happens to be 365 facts. But they're interesting facts. And some of them are recipes. There was a simple recipe I saw in here for some cake that had like literally 4 ingredients that weren't overcomplicated. Because some recipes, you ever go into a recipe book and it's like 20 eggs, 10 pounds of this, and gold flakes. Very intimidating. So I kind of like that. And then there's history. Well, there's actually some history, some historical facts, and some poems, and helpful hints. And sometimes there's 301, tea inspires joy. Well, okay. 323, Lipton Tea patented a 4-sided tea bag in 1952 called the flow-through tea bag. Did you know that? A quote from Lu Yu, number 77, tea that grows wild is superior. Garden tea takes second place. But I've never had wild tea, so I can't really say whether I agree or not. 159. In the South, a favorite beverage is sweet tea. This is tea that has sugar added either before, during, or after brewing, and before the tea is cooled. Well, we're talking about the southern United States, by the way. If you could find this in print, then sure. I'm not saying this is my favorite tea book, but I kind of like it. And I haven't looked at it in a long time, so it's kind of nice to share it with you guys. But this last book that I'm going to show you is just, I love it so much. It's called Nicey and Wifey's Nice Cup of Tea and a Sit Down. You know who else likes this? Actually loves it? Nigel Slater. Can you see that? Can you see that? This is still a blog, I'm pretty sure. Nice Cup of Tea and a Sit Down. And it has other things to it. There's talks about tea and tea bags, teapots, work tea making mugs, that sort of thing. So, you know, it could be about having tea at work, etc. But when I see that title, I think about a long day, and now you're relaxing, and you're having one of those cups of tea. And as this writer seems to imply, the cup of tea that he's really thinking of is that British cuppa. You know, the strong black tea, likely with milk, possibly with sugar, in a mug, and something to accompany it. I went through a phase where pretty much every day after lunch I would have a mug of tea, usually black tea, with milk and some kind of pastry, cookie, biscuit, something. Every day, and I wondered why I put on so much weight. So, for me now it's a treat, but I still like this book because it, first of all, it's so cozy, the idea of it. And nobody but a British person could have come up with something like this. Or someone from that area of the world. I mean, people love tea and accompaniments to tea all over the world. Let's face it. And you can find tea snacks everywhere. But there's just something about, maybe it's the climate, I don't know. There's something about the whole British tea. I'm not even talking about cream tea. I'm not even talking about scones at all. I'm not even talking about, afternoon tea or that sort of thing. I'm talking about just the simple break of tea and a little something. So, and it even breaks down types of seating and places you can be sitting too. So that's really cool. But the main meat of this book is just a discussion and like almost a scientific study of tea biscuits, or biscuits, In the United States, when you think of biscuits, you think of all kinds of things. But when you say tea biscuit, you know it's a kind of cookie. And it's, mostly British ones, but you can find them in other parts of the world. So, the rich tea, the shortcake, digestives, bourbon. Bourbon? Is it called bourbon? Bourbon. I don't know if I've had bourbon. I feel like I might have. Custard cream, which I have had. Jammy Dodger type of situations. That kind of looks funny when I show it to you like that. Sorry, but marshmallow types. And then they have fig rolls, which I can't have whatsoever. Different kinds of chocolate biscuits. All kinds of stuff. And then, of course, they get into cakes. Ginger cakes, Battenberg, that sort of thing. Sure, there's scones in here. I haven't read this in a while. I really feel like I must sit down and read this again. Sit down, get it? I just absolutely adore this book. And I hope that if you guys get a hold of this, that you will too. It's winter for most of us, but even if it's not, it's just such a great time of year to read something like this. And I know, as someone who struggles with dietary restrictions, that it can be difficult sometimes to read about things that you may not be able to have, because of the ingredients. But maybe use imagination and think of other things that you can use and just enjoy the discussion, Sometimes I read things that I will never do, like go to Antarctica, and just because I can't go there, because I still have my appendix, apparently that's a thing, doesn't mean I can't enjoy the book. Although honestly, I don't really read a lot about Antarctica. It sounds too cold. But I just think there's everything about this book I love. The aesthetic, the color, little golden books type of ring of biscuits. Everything about this book. So this is definitely a favorite of mine, and I hope it's a favorite of yours. So that's my brief, but a hopefully enjoyable recent tour of my tea things. I will try to come up with another tea library tour soon, but until then, let me know what you think of these books, if if you've come across any of these books, let me know what your favorite tea biscuit is, if you have one. And if you like this discussion, feel free to subscribe. This has been Catherine from Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely biscuit-filled day.